Welcome, Jackie Senatore. Thank you so much for being on with us. Really excited to have you on the show with us and find out more about you and how you're helping people with abundance and mindset work.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me.
Awesome. So where we want to get started is kind of more of your backstory. How did you, everyone's got a story as far as how they ended up where they are, and yeah, you're nodding already. I'd just like to hear more about that from you. Like what were you doing something different before this, or was there like a trigger point? Where was the shift that got you to where you are?
Yes, there's probably two big things in my life that sort of one changed the trajectory and then other one amplified it to a new level. And yes, we all have a story, and that's really what I love to help people heal through is like our story, which involves challenges, and all of those things guide us ultimately to who we're meant to become and what we're all doing here today. When I was a kid, I had anxiety, and I always looked at that as like a bad thing. And I never really knew why I had it throughout my teens, and it would come and go. So it wasn't anything dramatic at that time. But in my
Mhm.
20s, I was living in LA and acting on TV sets and movie sets and commercials. And I was getting bad anxiety driving and just different places, so much so that I have to do something about it. It was interrupting my life. Our pain comes to interrupt our life when it's time
Mhm.
for a change. And my mom luckily introduced me to something called EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. It was like this tapping to try and uncover what was happening. And the more and more training, and I started doing it, and then I started to help other people with it. I really loved helping people specifically heal trauma. I
Mhm.
liked seeing the difference that I was making in people's lives. And then when I would go back to the acting sets, I was like, this isn't for me anymore. I want to be part of something bigger. And so my personal development journey sort of begun. Tony Robbins, and then Donnie Epstein and Dr. John Demartini, and I really like went full into human behavior and started studying it. And I ended up working with Dr. Bradley Nelson, who created the emotion code body code, and
Nice.
he ended up hiring me as one of his staff practitioners. So I got to work on people from all different parts of the world.
Fantastic.
So it was so much fun, and I got to learn a lot about myself and a lot about everyone's the same. We all have things we want to heal and work on. So
It's
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
I love how you said about how our pain comes into our life as a guide. And I don't know anyone who can't reflect back and that we've worked with as with clients as well. And just from the perspective of something shifted once I went through that experience, that traumatic event, that painful event. And so like how can you share a little bit more about how your health or your pain emotions are here to guide you?
Yes, that is the underbelly of everything that I
Mhm.
do. And to the degree of which our pain comes to interrupt our life, I think is the same degree of what disruption needs to happen.
Hmm.
So I really like the feather brick or truck. Sometimes we'll start to get these little whispers of, hey, don't do that, or that's not good, or change your job. And we're like, yeah, yeah, later, or I'm not ready to leave this yet. And then we'll sort of get the brick where it's like giving us more pain. And then sometimes we need a Mack truck. And I've had a few Mack trucks in my life. Luckily, some of us do. Some of us don't listen. We're fighters.
Mhm.
And it's just about when life hands you this, it's either we can feel victim to it, and that's okay too. You're just a part of it. It's part of the process of feeling like, why did this happen to me? And feeling the pain. But then it's also like, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to open the
Mhm.
gift? Do you want to see what this was for? And the more we do that, the more we can heal and start moving from this happened to me to this happened for me. So my Mack truck was definitely, I had a few Mack trucks within a short period of time. I got Lyme disease, then I went through a 4-year divorce, and then I went through a bankruptcy because of the
Mhm.
divorce. So one kind of led to the other. But ultimately, it took me through this transformative process of now I help people heal their health, their relationships, and their business. And I had experience in all three of
Mhm.
how to go from bottom and see what it's here for. So if anybody has pain, headaches, physical pain, emotional pain, it wants you to know something. It's trying to get your attention.
Do you find when you work with clients that they're just disconnected? Is that the right way to put it? Just because that's what got them to working with you in the first place?
What's interesting is that when people usually find me, it's oftentimes they've exhausted everything And they find me, it seems to be when it's like, I've tried everything, nothing's working. And then somebody will show them the work that I do. I often joke, I'm like the turnkey. It's like when you're really ready to start that engine, because sometimes we're not ready. Sometimes we want to be ready, but we're really not. And no judgment on that. It's just whenever we're ready, we're ready. So yes, when people come, they don't expect where it's going to go. And I don't know where it's going to go because everybody's wisdom inside themselves is different. My job is just to help them tap into it so they get the message. They'll get the aha. And I love that so much more than me telling them what I think I should do or what they should do. Or I like having it, I know what that was for. And you see this epiphany come over their face each time.
That must be exciting to see that moment where they're like, oh God, putting the pieces together, and there's just such a shift for them.
It's literally what lights me up when people are like, why do you do this? I could do it all day. When you just see someone's pain turn into relief, liberation, I tell people it's like the greatest gig. I can't believe I get to be a part of that almost. It's really a lot of fun to watch someone heal.
That's so amazing. And I love what you said because it very much speaks to how we like to help people as well. And it's just kind of giving them like lifting the fog a little bit so that they can see what's going on and like, oh, this is why that happened to me. This is actually the path that I should be going on. And I know from my own experience as well, like I went through a journey of living with MS, also had Lyme issues. So it's interesting that you brought that up. But I remember getting to the point where I thought that all I had to do was take the medication and fundraise money for the MS Society. And my turning point, my brick moment, as you mentioned, was I went to a friend and said, will you sponsor me for the MS bike ride? And she said, I love you. I will sponsor you, but they're never going to come up with a cure. You know that, right? And I was just like, oh, it was the knife in the heart, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. And sometimes you ignore the whispers, as you mentioned, and you need that, like, hey, wake up. Something else is going on. So I think that's really powerful that you shared that. And I like that it's not my opinion of what you should do. It's listening to your body and listening to what's going on. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. How do we help you access your wisdom? Because what your journey with Lyme and MS is going to be is very different than somebody else's. And somebody else really might create that it's incurable. Lyme disease, for people that have Lyme disease, I was told this is a lifelong illness. You're never going to be the same. Takes 25 years to overcome. And that hit me really hard, of the belief in that. It's kind of what led to my divorce, of like, hey, I don't want to sign up for this long life illness. I got to see who I was married to. I got to learn a lot about myself. And I am lucky I had the resources and the wherewithal to move through it in a couple of years. But you know, what my answer was and what Lyme came to do to interrupt my life was different than somebody else's journey. But I think for anyone that listens that has Lyme disease, I really have not seen something bigger interrupt people's life. It like just, I think it's like a freight train. It's awful to go through. It messes with your relationships, your finances. It totally changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah. I'd say it's more like you said, a freight train. It's like a Mack truck hitting you. That's like, so you need to wake up. Something needs to be different, right? And that's like you said, the belief is there as well. And a lot of times that's beliefs that people have, is that whatever I'm told, this is my identity now. This is who I am.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
the beliefs you're kind of given almost, because this is the universal, what we're told. This is how it is. Like you were told that with the doctor, as far as MS, you're going to be in a wheelchair. It's like, it doesn't have to be that way. You can decide to do different or be different.
Yeah.
It's not whatever they're telling you, that's the way it's going to be.
I went to the power of prayer a lot that I didn't really know until looking back, of this wasn't the end. And I prayed for something bigger. Use me for something. This isn't, I don't feel like I'm done. Because there was times I lost the ability to walk and stand. I was really, really sick. And it was, I wanted something more, and I'm going to ask for it and allow it to be shown and delivered. And it showed up every time. I think we're sometimes, and for anyone who does this, it's not wrong or bad. We have different roads and different options. I was very conscious and mindful of not starting to identify as a person with Lyme disease, meaning a lot of people called themselves Lymies, and that's fine. I have lots of friends that did. And it was like, nope, this is a stop on my train. This is not the end of my train. Lyme disease is going through me, and I'm going to get whatever it is that it's here to show me. And then I'm going to still ask God, the universe, whatever you connect to, what I want. I don't want to stay here. I want to move through this. And so anybody in my community or those Facebook groups are, and they're wonderful help that would say, no, I've had this for 30 years. It's like, I don't want that to be my story. I'm just going to give that back to you. Who knows? You could be the person that ultimately changes it. Why not? It's happened to so many other disease. It happened to so many other diseases. There's people that were going to be paralyzed that were walking. So if it happened for them, it could happen to you. It's just, do you believe it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that belief too, the perspective of not just this is, and that was my perspective too. I was like, I don't want MS to be me. I don't want to be like, hi, I'm the person with MS. Oh, my name is also Kate. I was like, that is never going to be the case. It's like, I've heard it referred to as like the sidekick. And then they don't have to follow you for your whole life. And the belief of like, why couldn't I be the one? Because there's lots of situations where there's incurable diseases or there's all these different things. And it's like, oh, you can't get rid of that, but people do. So why not you?
Right. I think it comes down to, do you really want it or not? And sometimes people are shocked when they start to ask different questions that they're receiving some kind of benefit. Tony Robbins was the person that I really gripped onto for this, going through that of, are you gaining significance from it? What's the benefit from it? There's so many people that if you took their badge of honor away, they would lose their identity. And so here they're saying, I want to be cured of it, but really underneath they don't, because now their family loves them. Now their spouse is taking care of them. Now they don't have to work anymore, whatever the benefits are. It's just, do you want that or do you want this? And I think we can have both. We just got to get really honest with ourselves, because there's no shame in that. If that's the journey you want and it serves to be the head of fibromyalgia and you have lots of friends and all your communities with it, why would you get rid of it? It gets you a lot of benefit, attention, and I understand that. It's just, I'd rather get attention for something else. I was like, this one's not for me. I like good health. It was very hard for me to lose my energy in my body and stuff. So I knew whatever it takes, we're getting to the other side of this.
And as far as the energy with health, how did you, obviously making that decision that you weren't going to identify with Lyme and you weren't going to be, you're basically separating yourself from that. So with the energy of even just making that shift and that decision, how did that impact your health going forward?
There was lots of changes that when I started to ask different questions. I had a really great friend that I met. He was part of the Tony Robbins community, and he would have me make this big poster board in the back of my door that spoke what I wanted. And so every time I dropped my energy lower and was like, it's never going to change, because I had those moments for sure. It was, what is it that you want to speak into existence? It's almost like have the vision for it and my body was going to follow. And it wasn't so easy, because the more I did that, the more life started showing me what wasn't working, which was my relationship, because we went into divorce. But as soon as my husband filed for divorce at that time, within a week, my blood pressure stabilized. My weight started gaining back. The nurse started asking me, like, what are you doing different? And I said, the only thing that's changed is that I'm getting divorced. And for some reason, soul-wise or whatever it was for, my body was getting sick in the environment that I was in. And I never would have probably gotten to that awareness had I not started to allow, okay, God, the universe, show me. What do you want me to see? I'm open. I want to heal. I was pure heart intention. And then it started to show me, it's this. And are you going to go through it? And it was painful. It wasn't easy, but it was, I'm going to walk through this fire of transformation. And it did. It saved my life. And step by step, somebody would call me and say, did you ever hear of this coach? They coach people with Lyme. Or here's a business card of somebody. So I tell people that are struggling with a health challenge or Lyme disease, pray for your answer and then listen for the next 48 hours. And if someone in a coffee shop comes up to you and says, there's this weird treatment, just invite it. Even if it's opposite of who you are. I did a non-FDA approved red light therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never thought I would try something like that. And when those things were presented to me, I paid attention. And I was like, okay, you're showing me this. Thank you for showing me. I'm going to do it against all of my Jackie beliefs. And it saved my life. And so I kept on the trajectory of keep showing me. I'm listening.
That is amazing. Just that the fact that you opened yourself up to something that you were not connected to. And I assume once you got one validation and another, it just kind of built that belief around, okay, I need to listen, which is kind of what you mentioned was key.
Yep. Because everything I was doing and throwing at it wasn't working. And so when you get to that wall of I've exhausted everything, I'm done fighting. Some of us get there faster than others. I have a lot of fight in me, apparently. But I got to that part of surrender of being like, okay, show me what the answer is. Because if anything I wanted to do would have healed that, I would have never gotten divorced. I would have never went in that direction. It needed to take me to, there's no other option before I would say, okay, show me the option. And it did. And it was like, not that option. What do you mean?
That just emphasizes the power of the environment we're in and who we surround ourselves with. And I would assume the layers of emotions within that package as well that you were dealing with at the time, for that just all of a sudden to shift and then miraculous changes with your health.
I never would have imagined it. I saw this quote one time going through the illness that said you can't heal in the same environment you got sick in.
Yep.
And then later on, it meant something more to me. And it's not to shame or blame the person I was living with. It just was an incongruency to my destiny. It wasn't that they were wrong. It's just when I chose this person, I chose them as a 26-year-old.
Yes.
I chose them for that leg of my life. Where my life was going was probably was no longer a match with them.
Yeah.
And so life is like, hey, if you really want to reach your destiny of where you're becoming, we're going this way. And so it's not necessarily that people around us, even if we have a boss that's really not great, we can learn strategies to separate from them, but still have them in our life. So for everyone listening, we have in-laws and we have parents and we have people aren't perfect around us. Yep. It's just, how can we separate ourselves energetically so we can be in environment with society, with our family dinners?
It's an excellent point, because we can't separate ourselves from the entire world.
Yes. We've been there. We've all heard someone say, I'm not being friends with you anymore. You're toxic. And it's like, no, it's just let them be who they want to be. You can separate yourself from judging them. Essentially, it's just, we're not here to fix everybody else. We have enough work to do within ourselves.
Totally. And it's important from the perspective of, okay, so yes, we can't separate from our family, but I like what you said about it's the people that we surround ourselves with most of the time that's going to be the big impact. And we talked a little bit about support groups in the past. And I know for me, and I've heard it with clients as well, a support group can be a challenging part of the journey as well, because when I started to get better and started using nutrition to help myself get better, suddenly I didn't belong in that group and was pushed out. And it's like, you need to continue to grow and to change your group and change the people that you're surrounding yourself with as your healing layers happen, right? Because you just won't be on the same page or the same level as the people that are still in that position of like celebrating the new medications that people are going on and whatever. It's like, we don't jive anymore, but it can feel lonely if you're someone, right?
That's your moment. That's your moment when someone says, why did you go this way and that way? You came to a crossroads and life showed you can stay in what you've known, or you can do the difficult, which is, I'm scared to be alone, but I'm going to trust it anyway. And when you do that, life rewards you. I don't know about you, but you open up to a community that feels so much more aligned. And I think you get rewarded for those brave choices and really validate yourself of, that was hard and I did it. I could have said, no, it's too scary. I want to stay with the pack. And you might not have ever been here, but it took
Yeah.
that moment. There was probably a moment where you got to look at both directions and you went through the, okay, I'd rather be alone and get better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's realizing that, because it's like you said about the red light therapy, and that recommendation probably wouldn't have come to you, or it wouldn't have been in your awareness if you hadn't made the choice to take the path of,
Mhm.
this is going to be hard, but I'm going to try some different things. And
Yeah.
it's such a powerful thing for people, because you can look at things and feel like, this is more comfortable, but it's a choice, right? And you have the option to choose which way you want to go. So that's very cool.
It's like
Um,
this thing of like, are you going to go for the change, or are you going to try and stay what has always been? Because what's always been isn't working anymore.
Mhm.
So I remember signing those red light therapy. It's not the lamp, it was like an intravenous thing. I remember
mhm.
signing those things that it's like, this is not FDA approved. You're basically part of an experiment. And the only reason I did it is because I had this powerful like ask a day or so before. And then I'm in this IV room doing a vitamin IV, and two women were on the other sides of me with this device. And both of them were celebrating how well they were getting. So I was like, sign me up.
Amazing.
Let's do it. Let's hook me up. I'm terrified, but here we go. Yeah.
I thought you were
Amber,
going
you
to
had a
say something,
question?
Hannah.
No? Okay.
No.
Uh, Gotta love that. So as far as any of your clients, are there certain clients that you look to work for or work with, I guess? Are there certain clients that are more drawn to you? Because I know we tend to attract
Yeah.
certain type of people,
Yeah.
magnetism as it is. So are there certain ones that people who are listening that are maybe listening to you and think, oh, I could work with you? Like, what are those kind of people that you tend to attract?
Yeah, isn't that funny how we're a magnet for certain people?
For
Over
sure.
the years, I love the go-getters. I love apparently the stubborn fighters. I've done everything. I'm like, did you surrender to it? Did you accept it? No, I'm not doing that. I rather walk around that block 50 times than ever sit with my fear. It's like, those are my people. Yeah. People who are ready. I really work with all kinds of people, and it's mainly women, but I've had men shift so easy. They're just, one or two times they're like, tell me what it is that I need to do, and they do it. Women, we're feminine energy is more complex, and we want everything to mean something and see everything, and gotta love it. Um, but it's the people who really find themselves like exhausted by doing everything that they can think of, and they're ready to either give up or freak out. Those are the people that, okay, Jackie, I'm ready to see this differently. And then I can help them do something different, which isn't intuitive, but it allows that answer to come up that's unique to them. So not giving them the answer, but allowing them to access their answer.
Mhm.
Amazing. Is there a success story that you can share with us?
Lots of them. I'm thinking of, do you want to do a health one, or usually it's health,
Sure.
relationship, or business?
Health sounds good for this show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see which one comes up. There's a lady that I was working with, or I have two that came up. So the lady that I was working with, she was a yoga teacher, and she was really flexible, and something happened where she injured herself moving boxes. And at the time when I was working with her, I didn't know what boxes. She just said, I'm injured myself moving these boxes. And when I started to work with her, explore what it is, where were you moving the boxes? I was moving them out of my house. Her relationship had just ended. And so a lot of the beliefs and stories she was telling herself as she was moving out, she pulled this muscle and couldn't bend. She couldn't even touch her toes. And so by the end of the 20 minutes of just going back and taking the judgment off of what the belief was in that moment, moving that, she stood up and she touched her toes, and the whole part of her back changed, because it's
Wow.
energy, and energy is when we break down, it's nothing. It's everything comes down to energy.
Mhm.
So it was just being with that part, that shame, that whatever it was that I was uncovered for her, and what it was really trying to show her. So we may have a judgment, this person's rejecting me. And is the person rejecting you, or are they redirecting you? What happened in your life? What changed? like for us sitting here, what changed in our life because of that? What changed in your life because he said no, because he said, get out? How did it serve you?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you feel like that big liberation thing that comes through. And I have a fun one that I like to share. There was a woman that came to me with a rash on her stomach, and she tried everything, all the creams, all the things. And she's like, Jackie, I'm ready. What is going on with my stomach? Nobody's been able to heal it. And so we did sort of the method of like almost like an active meditation method on her stomach, and started to ask the questions, put your attention around it, start asking your body, what do you want me to see? And so as she learned to energetically separate, she had 4 kids. And as she learned to move them out of her space, as we call it, like let the kids know they're okay. They were adult kids almost. And she kept doing that every day. And the kids started to come on the calls and ask, what did you do to my mom? She's so much happier. By the end of 6 weeks of working with her, all of her kids got a job. None of them were working. They all got a job. And it wasn't from her doing. And the rash went away. She was taking on so much responsibility. It's my job to help my daughter. It's my job to fix my son's emotion. It's me, me, me. And her body was just rejecting, like, you got to let go a little bit. They're okay. They have a path. So those are always fun ones when physical things change instantly, or you get the wisdom and then you get the results. So those are cool.
Yeah, really amazing for clients and anyone who's listening. Is there a key message people can take from this that you would want to leave them with?
Gosh, yes, accept where you're at is my big thing. You know, a lot of the times we make where we're at wrong. We make, since we're talking about Lyme disease, MS, we make what we want to fix in our life wrong or bad. And as soon as we put judgment on ourselves, we get stuck. We get into a place where the answer can't come in. So if we get to be in a moment in our heart with what is the thing that you want to change right now that you're judging, because we all have something that we'd love to change about ourselves probably. And we just come to acceptance that this thing isn't wrong. It's here for a reason. It's here to show me something. So just for 24 hours, I tell people when they just start this, just for 3 hours, take the wrong and the judgment off of it and ask it, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to see? How is this serving me? And then for the next day, sometimes people will say the text will come in right when they do it, right away. The answer comes in really fast when we want it. I have a funny little quick story that's coming in. I moved into a new house, and the off-gassing of the floors and the carpet was burning my throat. And my health is my top value, thanks to Lyme disease. And everyone's like, oh, 6 months, just put up with it. And I'm like, God, I really don't want to put up with this for 6 months. Can there be a different way? So I asked the question like I'm suggesting, and I kind of let it go. And we went to Home Depot, or many Home Depot runs as we first moved. And the guy at the counter said, can I help you? What are you looking for? And I went to go speak, and my throat was like, I'm like, sorry, the carpets and the thing is really hurting my throat. He's like, oh, I have something for you. And he brought me over to these air cleaners. And then he said that you have a fan in your house, turn that on so it starts to circulate the air, and then put these air cleaners. So I went out and ordered 4 of them off Amazon and put them in the room. And within 12 hours, I was better.
Oh, fantastic.
And it came from a Home Depot guy. So our answers it comes anywhere, a TV, a radio station, ask for what it is. First, accept where you're at, and then ask.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So if people are looking to get in contact with you, which I'm sure they will be, where are you most present on social?
So I'm not the best social person. I try.
Okay.
I love stuff like this more than social media. But Instagram, usually people, when they find me, they'll right away go follow me on Instagram. I'm not the most liveliest on Instagram, but I run programs and memberships so people can work with me to different degrees and have courses and just different things, because my big thing is teaching you how to get that repetition in yourself. It's really like exercise. I teach people how to do it daily, get their system and their nervous system equipped to look at life differently. So even when you get stuck in traffic, how is this serving me? What is this saving me from? Might be saving you from an accident, might be giving you more time to talk to your mom. You just don't know. So that's the repetition.
I love that. I love how you usually shift things as far as, because we often go to the negative place first. It's like, okay, what's this giving me instead? I love that just little shift. And I'm sure others who are listening will love that too.
It's huge in your health.
Yeah.
Huge, huge, huge. It changes the trajectory of your body, because when we say, crap, I never should have went this way. I knew I shouldn't have went on the highway. I'm so stupid. And then you get a headache for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I went on this highway and I'm supposed to go on this highway. Why? Because I did. What do you want me to know? What do you want me to see? What music am I supposed to listen to? What podcasts am I supposed to put on that I never would have put on had I not been stuck in this traffic? And then we kind of skipped the headache because the judgment of our beating ourselves up shifted and changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you store all of that in your body too,
Yep.
right? So when we can just kind of like, it's fine, shrug it off, and yeah, look for the positive side of it. I love that.
Yes.
It's
Yep. If I start,
simple, but not
yeah,
easy.
if I put myself in positions, to bring this full circle, if I put myself in environments that I'm energetically sensitive,
Hmm.
and if I'm like, no, whatever, I'm going to go do that anyway, anxiety will quickly come into my space, into my body. And it's like, I'm going to give you an anxiety attack if you don't listen. This isn't for you. Leave or change something. So anxiety sort of has become my friend, instead of, back in LA, it just wanted me to not be in the certain situations I was in, and it was helping me. So gotta love our bodies. They're speaking to us all the time.
It's like a little bit of the smoke going off before the alarm hits kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Pay
that
attention.
analogy. Yeah. It's like the smoke alarm's going off, and what our culture wants us to do is like take out the batteries, just put a Band-Aid over it, take a medication, shut that thing off. And it's like, but wait a minute, there's a fire, and your life just wants you to see that's not serving you anymore.
No, it's such a go, go, go society and way of living now that, yeah, we totally don't listen to the messages that the body's trying to send you. And it's like your body is always trying to tell you what's going on. And if you just take a minute to start listening, like there's so much you can do for yourself in so many ways.
And it
It's so
happens so
powerful.
fast.
Mhm.
And, there's sometimes I do this work and live it and teach it every single day. And there's sometimes I don't listen. And then just forgive yourself for the moments you're like, you know what? I feel like listening to myself. I thought I knew better. I didn't want to. Because there's sometimes we hear the answer and we're just not ready. We just don't want to. We don't want to leave that relationship, or we don't want to change our way we're eating. It's like, I know these cookies are bad, but I really want to eat the cookie, and that's okay. I think it's permission to, when we're ready, we're ready. When we've had enough, we'll be ready. Yeah.
And you have to be ready. Otherwise, yeah.
That's my one criteria to coming into work with me. Are you ready? Do you want it? Because if you don't, that's okay. And no shame in that. When you're ready, let's do it. Let's start the car.
I love it. I think that's a great place to finish off. Thank you so much for being on with us and sharing all the little nuggets and positive ways to look at life, and just simple ways to shift how we perceive things. And just really fantastic to have you on and share all the information for everybody. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys. It's so lovely to be in this little group with two of you. So it's a nice pleasure. Thank you.
All righty. So we'll catch everyone on the next episode. Have a great week, everybody.